so he decided it was worth trying it on him first. Kendai clung to the snake's leg and asked him what? Who was he? Did he really save him? He wants to go with him. Yang Zai told him to let him go first. Meanwhile, in the castle, Yang Zai left Ozai's body, after which Chris Green's younger brother died from a wound inflicted by his older brother. Chris Green asked why he felt so angry. Then a voice told him that he would be his judge. Chris Green started looking around and asked who is this. Then Phoenix appeared in front of him and told him that he had committed the sin of greed. And I asked him if he would admit his guilt. Chris Green couldn't really tell her anything. He just said that he had. After that, Phoenix said that he would be tortured by lightning. 1,000 lightning bolts pierced him. Chris Green started screaming in pain. He said that if it continued like this, he would have to say goodbye to this body. But Phoenix, not paying any attention to this, leaving through a hole in the window, told Chris that he should repent in agony. Chris Green crawled up to his younger brother and calling him stupid. He picked him up and said that he had already given. Why was he so angry? Then, turning into a bat, he flew out of the hole in the window. Meanwhile, one of the mutants surrounded 4 people. The children, hugging each other, were shaking with fear, but Nai Pen came to their aid. He hit this mutant on the back of the head, by imprinting it thereby into the ground. Nai Pen cursed and shouted to the people that he couldn't hold back any longer, so they should run away from here as soon as possible. After that, this mutant got out of the ground and hit Nai Pen. Nai Pen flew into the building, breaking through the glass with him, but still he was able to get up and said that, apparently, he would have to use that skill in order to kill this monster in one go. Nai Peng stood on the roof of the building and used his ability to let out a furious scream. Then he hit that mutant with all his might, punching a hole in it. People were very scared, but still watched this battle. The chubby guy said that this is the best attack of an 8-handed fist fighter called Confrontation. The guy who was standing next to him said that it was really very cool. Now they are finally all saved, but somehow not so. Then Chris Green arrived at this place and pierced Nai Pen's head with his sword. Nai Peng fell from the roof dead. Chris Green approached his mutant who was passed out and, calling him an idiot, told him that he had not even reached the 3rd stage in such a long time. He brought him the body of Nai Pen, and this mutant began to choose blue particles. Chris Green called him useless garbage and said that it was good that he would soon absorb him, because there was no point in wasting energy on his treatment. Here this mutant has fully recovered. Chris Green penetrated the head of this mutant with his fingers and said that what an unusual and pleasant feeling of energy gain. I wonder how much he surpasses the master now. Then the snake arrived and asked that he was a little late, right? Chris Green, apparently, was not very surprised to see him here, and asked that he was one of the zodiac signs of the judges' organization. Wasn't he? He's just in time. He wants to test his new strength on him, and he asked the snake why didn't he attack him? He's getting stronger by the second, so what is he waiting for? Snake said he was waiting for him to finish. When the opponent is too weak, he becomes very bored. Chris Green said that, yes, it's really entertaining. Thanks to this, he will be able to cut his body into 3 parts. Sounds cool, doesn't it? Now he has the power of the 3rd stage, so he better get ready to die. After which, he pierced the snake's bodies with his hand. But the snake was not so simple. Chris Green asked him if he had really become a shadow. After that, a lot of black arrows flew at Chris Green. He tried to block them with his account. Having corrected himself with this task, he again rushed to the attack. This time he accurately predicted the location of the snakes. Snakes was even surprised by this and thought that could he really predict his position. Apparently, he can only stall for time in order to escape. After that, he used his skill called Plasma Storm. A lot of plasmas flew from the sky directly at Chris Green. But Chris Green did not lose his head and created a lot of bats, which just took the whole blow on themselves. Chris Green said that, as expected, the power of skills does not solve anything. In battle, tactics are needed with it. Even the weak are able to defeat the strong. And he asked the snake how much more time he would be able to use such a powerful attack. But then he was hit from behind with a big stick. Monkeys and a phoenix came to the snake's aid. After seeing them, Chris Green thought that there are 2 zodiac signs and one of them is the leader. How is it possible to fight here at all? After that, he escaped from this body. The monkey said that he ran and even with the spirit seal activated. Phoenix said that, but it came at a great cost to him. He spent a lot of tiny particles to open a hole in the seal to escape. After that, the 2 of them rushed off and decided to save the rest of the people first. After this hard night, which was full of battles, Yang Zai decided to meet the Phoenix. Phoenix told him that after the incident on Banana Island, their organization of judges became more famous in the territory of the 4 seas. Does this mean that more people now want to join them? However, the number of places in the position of heavenly spirits is limited to 36. That is why some have switched to the Cayenne family. The ability users who came to the Cayenne family would definitely send spies for their own purposes. To which Young Zai replied that he thought the Cayenne family would sort it out somehow. The time has already come, so it's time for them to return to the city of Lugansk. Young Zai finally returned to his city and said how much he missed the smell of the city. And now he wants to improve the control ability of S rank to SS rank. Now he has as many as 36 subordinates. He's getting richer every day. The sphere of the ability that he has upgraded to SS rank turns gray. The ability is called Iron Control. Its description stated that it extends to 30 meters and acts on a weight of up to 1 million tons. Skill, Divine Metal. A highly compressed metal that has incredible power. Evaluation of this ability, SS rank, Step 3, breaks the fundamental laws of nature. Yang Zai asked, "What is the divine metal?" "That sounds cool." Then one of the monsters caught his attention, who broke the glass and tried to break into a large building. He, opening his mouth, wanted to eat the girl. It was an S-rank monster that everyone calls, starting with the demonic fox. The drone began to inform everyone that the city was attacked by an S-rank monster. Heroes of a rank and above are waiting on Orchid Street. An elderly man who was hiding behind a wall and asked if he was still alive. Then a red car drove to the scene. Liu Yuan and the lazy swordsman got out of the car. Liu Yuan said that we need to prepare for an attack. The lazy swordsman immediately rushed at this monster, and Liu Yuan turned into a werewolf. Meanwhile, on TV, the man went live and said that every time such a beast appears, the city is simply carrying enormous destruction. The hero, who has almost S rank, and whose name is Luo Quan, will need 2 hours to get here, but will the others be able to hold out until his arrival? The fox attacked the lazy swordsman, but he managed to evade her attack. He shouted to Liu Yuan that be careful, but Liu Yuan easily stopped her attack. He shouted to the lazy swordsman to hurry up, because this is a great chance. After that, the lazy swordsman rushed to attack this monster with renewed vigor. Then an arrow flew into the eye of this monster. It was Lu Zai-Tian. Young 11 was still standing on the sidelines and watching the fight going on. He thought that this woman was hiding something. Her ability has improved to S rank and even reached the second step. And according to the spiritual scan, it happened in a very short time. It is interesting. Very interesting. Back on TV, the man reported that Orchid Street was still alive. According to eyewitnesses, a mysterious man used a metal attack in order to help them. A hero who uses metal. Is it really Mr. Yu Jai who has returned? A lot of comments poured in. One wrote that they missed him so much. The other asked if it really was him. Is Mr. Yu Jai really back? But at that moment, the sky was covered with something blue, like tentacles. Liu Yuan asked, "What else is this?" It was still the same fox. She had an ability activation. It was a night uprising. Lai Zai-Tian pulled the bowstring again, but was confused. This beast easily jumped on buildings. People wrote in the comments. They wished luck to the archers of the icy mountain, calling her a goddess. They also asked her to attack this creature. One more time she has to fight. On the TV broadcast, the man said that starting from the demonic forest, she knows how to hide in the dark. She uses the night darkness to deftly evade any attack. This makes it harder for Lai Zai-Tian to aim and hit her. Meanwhile, this monster jumped off the building again. At that moment, Liu Yuan grabbed this monster by its hind legs, and he shouted to the archer to shoot at him as soon as possible. At that moment, Lai Zai-Tian fired an arrow and hit that monster in the eye. The monster roared again, and pushing Liu Yuan away with his hind legs, he began to trample on him. Liu Yuan was already very scared and turned to the Godfather. He asked his forgiveness for the fact that he was going to die soon, but they never met. Then someone called him an idiot. Liu Yuan was already shaking all over, either from pain or fear, and said that someone had called him names. It was Yu Jai who knocked out this monster with a single blow. Liu Yuan was very happy to see him and said that the Godfather, no, his dad came here to save him, after which Wu started crying with happiness. In the comments, people were also jubilant. They wrote that Mr. Yu Jai had returned. They are so happy to see him and missed him very much. Yang Zai approached Lai Zai-Tian and asked her that her name was Lai Zai-Tian, wasn't it? She did a very good job. After that, without saying a word, he left. Meanwhile, on the TV broadcast, the man told Xiao Lin that today's report about the metal savior was very important to them. Xiao Lin was clearly worried about something and walking back thanked the man for the praise and said that if nothing else was required of her, then she would go. But when the girl was about to leave, the men called out to her and asked her to stop. He told Lin Nasu that she has been doing well lately. He is sure that she will soon become the main reporter. Lin Nai-su smiled at him and thanked him for these words, but the man told her that it was better not to thank her, let her have dinner with him. Lin Nai-su, apologizing to him with an embarrassed, said that she. But then Yang Zai appeared, who hugged her, said for her that he was afraid she wouldn't be able to, because he had already promised his girlfriend a romantic dinner. Lin Nai-su, all flushed, asked Yang Zai that why did he come here. Yang Zai said that in order to take her away, and now they should leave. Lin Na-su asked him why didn't he tell her that he had already returned. Yang Zai told her that he wanted to surprise her. Lin Nai-su asked him what and how long he was with her this time. Yang Zai told her not to worry about it, because they would have quite a lot of time. Lin Nai-su said that it was very cool and suggested that he go to a new Japanese store, because she wanted to go there together from the very opening. In fact, the real Yang Zai was now standing on the roof in the guise of Yu Jai and mentally told Lin Nai-su that this clone would stay with her instead of him for the time being. Meanwhile in the office, Liu Yuan went into the study and saw his godfather there. He smiled at him and said that he missed him so much. Yu Jai immediately got down to business and asked him if he wanted to go with him to the territories of the Four Seas. Liu Yuan asked, "What are the Four Seas?" Yu Jai said yes, to where all the masters and the elite live. Yang Zai asked Liu Yuan what he thought about this. Liu Yuan was so happy that he fell to his knees and began to bow at his feet, saying a big thank you to his godfather for his care. Yang Zai lifted him to his feet and asked him, what is there to thank for such a thing? But his current rank of ability may interfere with his formation. And I asked him what about it. He will lend him some of the points, thereby allowing him to exchange them for an elixir of S-rank abilities. They moved to Turtle Castle. There, Yang Zai asked Liu Yuan what kind of S-rank ability he already wants. Liu Yuan, without thinking, said that he wanted an S-rank werewolf bloodline. He decided that quality is more important than quantity, which is why it is better to develop his existing ability to the very limit. Yang Zai praised him and said that it was quite good. He is acting very wisely, and asked him what besides the elixir does he remember about the promise he made. Liu Yuan was even more delighted and thought that did the godfather really want to become his real father. Yang Zai laughed, showed him the mask and said that yes, this mask of the tree wolf constellation would now be his. Liu Yuan, of course, accepted this mask, but he looked very depressed, because he was counting on something completely different. And I thought that, apparently, they can become father and son, only when the organization of judges completes its formation. Then he thanked his godfather, and I told him not to worry, because this day will come soon. I told NSI that I wonder what the kid was thinking about. The tree wolf belongs to the White Tiger Castle. He and another person will go to the west in a free union. He stepped back and told Liu Yuan that he had to sort things out, and then follow him to the territory of the Four Seas. Liu Yuan looked around and asked the godfather if he was really leaving already, and having put on his mask, he said that it seemed that a new adventure was waiting for him. He told his godfather not to worry, because the organization of judges will soon become theirs. Meanwhile, Yang Zai was already flying to the designated place and sneezed and asked who missed him so much. Meanwhile, it was already night. Yu Fan was training on the roof. Then he felt someone's presence and thought that he had the same aura as the teacher. After that, Yang Zai came down to him. Yu Fan greeted his teacher. Yang Zai told him that he heard that he took first place in the competition, didn't he? And I asked him if I had received an invitation from the Association of Heroes yet. Yu Fan said that yes, Lai Zai Tian, Luo Su, Aokeo and Wang Ju also received them. Yang Zai asked him how familiar they were with Lai Zai Tian. Yu Fan told his teacher that they ate together, but he doesn't know her much. Yang Zai asked him if she had any special habit. Yu Fan said that she likes to meditate. Yang Zai asked what to meditate on, and he himself thought that let him just not tell him that Lai Zai Tian independently mastered the method of meditation. He has to meet her in person, and as he was leaving, he told Yu Fan that he still had things to do, so he would go, and he should continue to train further. Yu Fan, following his teacher with his eyes, thought that sooner or later he would become the most powerful weapon in the hands of the teacher. Then Yang Zai sneezed again and asked, what kind of business is this? Did he really get sick? Yu Jai said that as part of the deal, he could offer to make her an SS rank hero. Also, will she be under the protection of the judges organization all her life, or will he give her endless luck that will never run out? Lai Zai Tian asked that the next level after S rank is SS rank. Yu Jai added that it is also known as the third step. Lai Zai Tian said that since the organization of judges has a method that will make people users of S-rank abilities, then why does it need their secret in order to become stronger? Yu Jai told her that ability elixirs can only strengthen a limited number of people, but their main purpose is to increase the overall combat readiness of humanity. Wise Itian asked him if he was telling the truth. Yu Jai said that of course. Wise Itian said that it was fine then. She had discovered quite by accident that her spiritual skill called meditation could increase human strength in a very short time. But her ability called hunting magic meditation is not universal. It only suits her abilities. Yu Jai asked her what she wanted to say, that she was only helping to develop her unique skills, right? Wise Itian said that yes, it seems that this is exactly the case. Yu Jai said that this was not a problem, but he himself thought that with the meditation of hunting magic and copies of Wise Itian's abilities, a powerful army could be created. Wise Itian asked him that his offer was still valid. Then she chooses lifelong protection. Yu Jai gave her a mask and said that, of course, she should take this Phoenix Castle constellation, Moon Deer. In case of danger, Lady Phoenix will save her. Wise Itian accepted the mask and said that yes, she repeats that her meditation method is not universal, it only works for her. Yu Jai said that he only needed to take a sample of her ability gene and turn it into an elixir, then give others her magic hunting bow skill. And the problem is solved. Wise Itian asked what to take a sample of her gene. Will it affect her body in any way? UCCI said that of course not, it would only take him 2 or 3 minutes. But she must remember that there is no mental resistance. The girl lay down on the ground and said that it was fine. After a few minutes, or even less, Yu Jai said that it was ready. The girl was surprised and asked what already. He's very fast. Yang Zai thought that the way she said it sounded strange. After the castle of the Black Turtle, Yang Zai read the papers and said that Kai energy, activity, magic power and the name are different, but the essence is the same. He was watching an archery scroll, and he asked if that would really work, too. After that, he began to introduce spiritual power. He said that okay, they would see how meditation would gather dark energy. In the front world, there was a war there now. There were giant monsters and one guy with a bow shot at them. He told them to disappear and become ashes from the fire. Then he fired. Back in the castle of the Black Turtle, Yang Zai woke up and said he understood. This meditation helps the F rank to quickly break through to the D rank. He is used to large-scale absorption of dark energy. Meditation works worse for him. The flow of meditation spiritual force the body enters and exits by its movement. They conserve dark energy. Usually people can meditate and collect cubes of dark energy and then use them. But how much are they able to save? So that's the limit of hunting magic meditation. Then where does the power of meditation come from people from another world? All this translates into a huge problem. He will be able to get answers to all questions only when he has mastered the meditation of another world and conducts research on the Ocid plane. Lands of the Four Seas. Liu Yuan told his godfather that there are so many professionals here, and he asked what it means that this is what Four Seas look like. Yu Jai told him that they were in the territory of the Free Union, in the 7th island of the archipelago of the 5th Defensive Front. Not so long ago, their organization undertook to protect this place. Liu Yuan couldn't stand it and hugged his godfather. Yu Jai told him to pull himself together because they were going to a meeting with other members. They reached Port 7 of the island from Archipelago 5 of the Defensive Front. There they were met by the Moon Raven. He greeted Mr. Yu Jai. Yu Jai told everyone present that he had brought a tree wolf here today. From that moment on, he asks to take care of his godson. Liu Yuan also greeted everyone and said that he was a tree wolf and really hoped to get along with all of them. Moon thieves called him by name and said welcome to the Four Seas. Liu Yuan looked worried. He turned to the godfather and asked him that he had revealed his name, so how should it be? Yu Jai told him not to worry so much because he personally trained the Moon Crow, and whispered to him that before their arrival he had given him some information about him. Moon Thieves is responsible for the defense of the 5th Front. That is why the organization of judges sent him here to learn from him. Liu Yuan thought that perhaps the godfather was not on the best of terms with the Moon Crow. Is he so arrogant because his father can't control him? Now he understands why his father sent him here. He is afraid that the so-called pawn will get out of control. As he thought, he trusts only him. And I told my godfather not to worry, because they will return the territory back. He understood everything. Then he went to cuddle with the Moon Raven. Looking at the whole picture, Yu Jai asked that he was sure he understood everything correctly. Is he sure he doesn't need to worry about him? And turning to the head of the Cayenne family, he invited him to talk. They went to the reception room. They sat opposite each other at the table. Yu Jai told him that the organization wanted to conduct an experiment, and I asked him if their family was interested in participating. The head of the Cayenne family asked to explain the essence of this experiment first. Yu Jai asked him if he had ever heard of meditation. The head of the Cayenne family asked what the organization really owns in this method. Yu Jai asked him what it meant that he understood what he was talking about, didn't he? The head of the Cayenne family said that he learned about the meditation method from his son Cayenne Yu Quell. Only a real expert can master it, and their method of meditation is very different from that used by people from another world. Their method is just an incomplete version. Yu Jai said that the judges' organization now has a hunting magic meditation. With its help, ordinary people can develop and acquire new skills, and in order to speed up this development process, they still plan to use low-ranked elixirs. The head of the Cayenne family said that judges help all people, and he asked that he was very interested. How could he help him? Yu Jai said that for one experiment they will need 100 boys and girls better than the most stable ones who are able to endure heavy loads. The head of the Cayenne family told him to worry. Because he had some work to do, it would take them a week to throw out the best students, and I offered him to arrange a place. Yu Jai immediately said it would be Banana Island. When the time comes, they will meet there. After this conversation, Yu Jing headed to the Heavenly Palace. Phoenix told Yang Zai that she had found out something about the archery scroll. Yang Zai told her to report to him. Phoenix said that she learned that during meditation, spiritual power also changes, and this change is caused by the absorption of dark energy by the body. However, its collection in its true form in the form of cubes is different. They decided they would call it magical energy for now. When this magical energy penetrates into the body, it begins to flow through a special stream. As the abilities increase, most of it disintegrates, turning into the dark energy of the true form. The archery scroll can not only regulate the process of collecting dark energy, but also use it for individual skills requested by the corresponding abilities. Yang Zai said that means this scroll has an irreplaceable effect. From the spiritual power of Lai Zai-Tian and the scroll, he must create his own. After that, he began to concentrate his spiritual power. He asked Phoenix that moving into the space of the Heavenly Palace and visualization makes everything easier, doesn't it? He told all his recruits to experience this feeling. Phoenix said that the group of people that belongs to the Black Turtle Castle is called, but Yang Zai interrupted and finished, saying that the Hunting Magic Squad. The Dragon Lord headed to the island where his people were waiting for her. He also wore the mask that Yu Jai had given him. He asked everyone present that they had all come here to donate their gene abilities, didn't they? The Dragon Lord stopped in front of one guy and thought that such a powerful killing energy was coming from him, as if he had just returned from a fight. Then Ouyang Yuan showed up, who asked the Dragon Lord that he was from the organization of judges, right? Behind him was his relative, whose name was Ouyang Lan. He was wearing a mask that Phoenix had given him. Noticing these two, people began to talk. Someone asked who he was. His assistant is wearing a mask. The guy who was standing next to him asked that wasn't that the mask that Nizio Guan stole. Then Yu Jai himself showed up. He said that everyone was already assembled. The Dragon Lord asked him if the judges had sent him to take samples of ability genes. Yu Jai called the Dragon Lord his old friend, and I told him that they hadn't seen each other for a long time. The Dragon Lord chuckled and told him that he was now in no way inferior to him. One day he will even defeat him. Yang Zai thought that this was a very good attitude for a puppet, and he said he was looking forward to it. He put his hand on his shoulder and said that then they would start with him. The Dragon Lord was very worried. Yu Jai asked him to relax his muscles and not try to resist with his spiritual power. Ouyang Yuan stood nearby and watched everything that was happening. He thought he should figure out how the ability gene is extracted. After a couple of seconds, Yu Jai lowered his hand to the Dragon Lord's, said he was done. The Dragon Lord was dumbfounded and asked, "Is that really all?" Yu Jai asked him that did he really think that he would have to be skinned to extract it. Ouyang Yuan watched them closely and thought, what is going on here? He also extracted the ability gene. Why didn't he feel anything? Well, next time he will definitely succeed. Yu Jai said what's next. It was already evening. By this time Yu Jai had just finished. I'm about to leave. He said that their mission was perfectly accomplished. The organization of judges will make elixirs with improvements for them and send them to a parallel world. Everyone started to disperse. Only Ouyang Yuan and his relative asked Mr. Yu Jai to wait. He told him that he wanted to ask about his ability gene research. Yu Jai called him a young disciple of the Storm God and told him that he had to refuse him. Since the genes are linked to elixirs, he cannot divulge this information. Ouyang Yuan swore on the honor of his Ouyang family that he would not tell anyone about this. He came closer to Mr. Yu Jai and whispered in his ear that he had secret information. And I asked him what about the exchange. Yu Jai asked him that why did he need information about ability genes. Ouyang Yuan asked him if he knew that the top heroes of the Four Seas use something similar, be it Blast or Tongshan, or even his father, the God of Storms. They all use a technique similar to meditation. The strongest call it the Way. and these paths are different for different heroes. Yu-Jai asked him that this is how he wants to use the information from the judges' organization in order to find his own way, right? If he is so willing to advance a little in meditation, then he can help him. In a few days, the judges' organization will conduct an experiment on Banana Island called Hunting Magic Meditation. Yang immediately perked up and thanked Mr. Yu-Jai. He said that if the judges needed any information he had, he would be happy to share it. Yu-Jai called him Yang's brother and told him that it was better to find a place where they could discuss everything over a cup of tea. Yang asked him that since he was inviting him, could he refuse? Yang Lan was watching and standing behind them. He was in a misunderstanding and asked them to stop. But it was too late as they flew away together. Yang Lan asked that why didn't they take him with them. Banana Island. The girl approached the guy and told him to wake up, because they had already arrived on Banana Island. After which she immediately rushed about her business. The guy immediately jumped up and asked her to stop and wait for him. He said his name was Kyan Y Chen. I asked her what her name was, saying that they had been on the same ship for so long, and he didn't even know her name. The girl said that they had been together for so long, but he remembered about the acquaintance only when he had to go out. And she said her name was Yang Chu-yu, and it is likely that she is a relative of the well-known Yang Zai. Kyan Y Chen whispered to her that maybe she was brother Yang Zai's aunt. Yang Chu-yu laughed and told him that if he called Yang Zai brother and she was his aunt, what should she call him? A grandson or something? And she asked him to quickly call her grandmother. Kyan Y Chen said it was fine, but grandma always gives him pocket money when they meet, so. Well, then they noticed Yu-Jai in the crowd. Kyan Y Chen thought that he could he hear everything from afar? After which Yu-Jai returned. Yang Chu-yu said he scared her. She already thought he could hear everything. Kyan Y Chen said that there was no need to be afraid, because they were only joking about brother Yang Zai. It has nothing to do with him. In fact, Yu-Jai can hear everything and grinning. Thought that he would remember this couple, his so-called aunt, and the arrogant kid. After some time, he began his performance. He asked everyone gathered that they wanted to become stronger. Everyone immediately agreed and started shouting that yes. The fat guy asked Mr. Yu-Jai to choose him. He will do everything to become stronger. The girl next to them, who was standing with them, said yes, and she wants it too. Yu-Jai said that he was fine, after which he used his skill called Spiritual Force Wave. Everyone began to feel dizzy, and they fell to the ground. The guy who was still conscious, but was about to pass out, asked what was going on here. Kyan Y Chi reached out to Yang Chu-yu, but also lost consciousness and fell. Yang Yuan said that he never thought that the judges would conduct the selection by such harsh methods. After that, Yu said that the 18 people who fell last are being tested. One day later, the Heavenly Palace, the pinnacle of knowledge. Yu-Jai gathered all those who passed his selection and congratulated everyone who passed. He said that this is the pinnacle of the judges' organization's knowledge. The future of humanity literally depends on the experiment in which they take part. As they already know, the ability awakens completely by accident. But now the organization of judges has meditation. It helps them to receive and develop their abilities. The method they will try to develop is called meditation. Hunting magic. Kyan Y Chen asked what it means that ordinary people will be able to gain super abilities, right? Yu-Jai said yes, and in order to understand how effective meditation is in different conditions, they will be divided into 2 teams. 9 people will receive an F-rank ability called a magic hunting bow, and others will have to awaken the ability from nothing. He asks those who can cultivate an unknown ability and want to practice hunting magic meditation to take a step forward. He noticed that people started talking and milling around, not knowing what to choose. Then Yu-Jai decided to use mind control. Kyan Y Chen and Yang Chu-yu came forward and simultaneously said that for the sake of the future of the human race, they choose meditation. Yu-Jai said it was great, they could start already. After that, everyone who chose meditation has already begun to perform it. Yu-Jai, watching them, thought that the universality of this meditation was too small. Anyone could develop it, the situation would be completely different. It seems that the chain of islands in the southern continent simultaneously call him. And didn't what he was talking about happen too quickly? On the island where the Moon Raven was now, monsters began to rise from the water. Moon Raven, having gathered his army, told everyone to follow the commands and get ready for battle. Liu Yuan rushed into battle, but the monster attacked him first. Getting angry at him, Liu Yuan asked him how dare he attack him? Does he really think he has the right to do this? Moon Crow was watching the battle and thought that so far the battle is going well, so you need to pick up suitable animals. But then a monster hit him. The Moon Crows did not expect this, so they flew away. He said that this monster suddenly attacked him. He fell into the water and saw a crocodile there, telling him that he was choosing it. After some time, the girl came out of the shell and swam up to the crocodile. She asked him if he really wanted to hide here and rest. Young 11 thought that he had originally planned to pretend to be a being from another world and go to the back front. But he managed to find people from another world. Laughing, he thought that yes, he was a real lucky guy, and now he will make her his puppet and then teach her meditation. He used an ability called Control. The description stated that this ability can create illusions to SS rank targets, distract them, brainwash them, rank and below, inclusive, completely subordinate the object to actions for 50 years. And moreover, it makes it possible to move into the body of a controlled person for 9 hours a day. The number is 3 out of 9. The girl stepped on this crocodile with her foot and asked what was wrong with this fighting crocodile. He doesn't have a single wound on his body. Is he pretending to be dead? Where is he staring at? At this moment, Yang Zai applied his control ability. He entered her memories and said that they would see if he could find any episode in her memory that was related to meditation. After a while, he found what he was looking for, but that apparently something went wrong, and he asked what was going on. When he tried to interact with the memory of meditation, it seems that some kind of magical seal worked. In order to protect the knowledge about it, the body of a person from another world burns to the ground. It's good that Yang Zai fixed everything quickly. Otherwise, he is afraid to imagine how it could end. Meanwhile, on land, the Moon Crow Squad won. They shouted that they had won, but they'll see if they come back again. This girl sailed away on a sea creature and thought she was temporarily leaving this place. So see you soon. 9 Island of the archipelago of the Red Frost Islands. This girl came ashore and thought that this is how things are on the captured islands. It's even hard to breathe here. Apparently, the other world did not exhibit these territories. They allowed the city to become a collection of various creatures. Only the guild building, 2 more administrations, and a military fleet were built in the center. But this is only a small part of the entire colony of the new continent. After that, she headed to the guild building. A girl greeted her there, and I asked Mrs. Anastas if she really wanted to receive a reward for the mission. Mrs. Anastas said yes. Then the girl handed her a cloth on which the crystals were lying. She said that there are 10 gamma rank magic crystals here. She asks to take them. Mrs. Anastas looked at them and thought that about 100 units of dark energy. But she has no idea how to reveal all their power, how to use them at all. Okay, she'd better find the wisdom stone. She already feels its energy. Mrs. Anastas flew to the next cave. A huge snake hung over the cave. Mrs. Anastas menacingly told her to shut up. After that, the snake, frightened by her, crawled away. Yang Zai said that if he could only understand how she makes animals from another world obey her, then they would easily be able to defeat their army. Mrs. Anastas went inside and Yang Zai thought that, as expected, people have been living here for a very long time. But will there be a master daemon inside this mountain cave? He went inside the laboratory. Mrs. Anastas did something, and Yang Zai asked what was going on. A map began to appear on the wall. After that, they completely coincided. The next door opened, behind which there was some kind of strange, large and brown box. Mrs. Anastas came closer to begin. It's interesting to look at her. Then an elderly man got out from behind this box and asked her if she had really found his gift. What a lucky girl she is. Is she for the Cecil family too? Did the colonists from the Ossid Plain manage to get through the defensive front of the islands thanks to the alchemical handbook? What a pity. But he hoped that the blue star would work a miracle. Then Yang Zai assumed his true form and told Master Daemon that he was the one who found the reference book he left. He's from the Blue Star race. The Daemon laughed and said how interesting it was, and he asked what his name was. Yang Zai said that Liu Yuan. At that moment, the real Liu Yuan sneezed, and he asked who remembers him. The Daemon told the so-called Liu Yuan that before receiving the Wisdom Stone, he should talk to him. Yang Zai thought that, after all, it would seem that this is just an ordinary projection, and that just to chat. And I asked the master what he wanted to talk about. The Daemon asked to tell him about how things are with the Blue Star race. An hour later, Yang Zai told him everything. Afterward, he told the Wisdom Master what about the Wisdom Stone. The Daemon told him not to hurry, because in order to get a magic crystal, you need to pass several tests. Well, he thinks he can handle it. Then let him prepare to see the great wonder of the plane. After that, he started to open this big brown chest. The master said that he is filled with magic, life. Everything is constantly changing, not obeying any rules. That box finally opened and there was an oval pink crystal lying there. Yang Zai reached out to take it, but his fingers went through. The master asked him what was he waiting for. He must act faster. Yang Zai thought it was so strange, he couldn't take it in any way. He tried again, but the fingers still passed through this stone as well. The master said that the situation in which he sees this stone, but cannot touch it. Just don't let him say that this stone hates him. Then Yang Zai shouted to the master that someone was coming, he should hide soon. But the master said that he would not do it, because he had been waiting for it for too long. And he doesn't intend to hide, he won't, that's all. Then Yang Zai acted differently. He ran out of this room, and the doors began to close. The master looked out from behind the closing doors and told him that he could not do this to him. Then the doors slammed shut. Yang Zai transformed again and became Mrs. Anastas. The person who came in here asked Miss Anastas what she was doing here. He was the son of the city lord of Bright City. His name was Duran Keith. He asked Mrs. Anastas what she was doing here. Yang Zai realized that he was one of her suitors. He wants to marry her because of her noble bloodline. Therefore, he told Mrs. Anastas that it was none of his business. But Duran Keith blocked her way and said that he had already done so much for her. How much longer will she turn up her nose? She should have already given up and become his wife in the name of procreation. After which he transformed. Mistress Anasta took her bow and shot Blythe's arrow. Duran Keith released his flame, where the arrow of Mrs. Anastas burned down. He asked her to think again. If she listens to him, he will be more gentle. But Mrs. Anastas did not plan to give up. She said that she would not give in to him even if she died, after which she jumped right into his flames. Duran Keith was confused, and asked her what she's doing. She's just crazy. Why did she jump? She's going to die like that. Then he jumped after her. He said he had to save her. After some time, Duran Keith returned to his people and, calling the lady, Anastas said that there was nothing left of her. The bald man asked that this could not be. Did she just run away? The man told the young gentleman that there were still important people in New Freyland. They just need to track them down. Young 11 had already taken over Duran Kate's body and thought it was better to come early than to be late. And it's much more convenient to disguise yourself as Duran than as Anasta. Then Duran Keith got up and said that it was enough to waste time here. We have to go. Then a man stood in their way and said that he did not expect the young master to fail in love affairs, and even kill Anasta. Duran Keith asked who he was, and it's none of his business anyway. The man asked who he was. He's just usually a mercenary. Yang Zai thought that according to Duran's memories, this man is a wanted man in the Bright City, a criminal whose hand was cut off by his father. The man came out of the darkness and said that the return of the hand was given to him at a very high price, and he swore to return this pain to him and his father. The man with glasses told the young gentleman that when he was hunting for his father, he was close to rank 3, and now, most likely, he is already rank 3. But at that moment that man disappeared. After that, he appeared next to Duran Tate and tried to chop off his head, but the latter noticed his movement and managed to dodge. The man asked him if he could really see his movement. Duran Keith said he just predicted them. Then they heard what a sound it was. It was that master who broke through the wall. He laughed and said that this alchemical matrix could really be used. Then he approached Duran Keith and winked at him. This man told the master that he had the philosopher's stone, so let him not expect mercy. The bald man told the young gentleman that he would stay and detain him, and he should inform his father about everything, and as soon as possible. But a man with glasses stood in front of him and told the bald man to take the young gentleman away, and he would stay here. After all, his fiancée Tom is waiting for him to return. Yang Zai thought that these two also had their joys and sorrows. There is no difference between good and evil in this world. There is only a difference between strong and weak. The master thought that this was not enough 2 third level, and 2 second level would not be able to stop him. You need to hit faster, because only by allowing the matrix to absorb enough energy, he will be able to move faster. The man said that this philosopher's stone belongs to him. He was already reaching out to grab it, but the stone didn't let him do it either. His fingers went through it. The man did not understand and asked what was going on. Duran Keith said it means the philosopher's stone didn't choose him. He won't be able to touch it. He has to come back. After that, 2 Duran Keith guards reincarnated and attacked this man. He severely wounded the bald man. The man with glasses shouted at the young master to burn him to ashes with dragon breath. Some kind of yellow light came out of this yellow box. Even Duran Keith's people were shaking with fear. The master absorbed the aura. After that, he pointed his finger at the sky, and this light, like a pillar, rushed straight into the sky, by making a hole in the cave. After all this, the master said that he had not seen the sky for a long time, and turning to this man, he told him to come back soon, calling him a greedy strong man, and the sooner the better. Meanwhile, the Moon Crow people were flying across the sky. They were following a huge blue bird. This pink ray of light was seen by all of them. One guy said that here's the deal. What is this pink ray of light that caused so many terrifying animals to fall out? Another guy said that if they are so strong, they are trusted, there is some kind of treasure there, and animals are much more sensitive to magical energy than they are. The master turned to Durin Keith, who told him to listen to him carefully, otherwise he would reveal his true appearance. Yang Zai guessed and said what the wisdom stone meant. It was his handiwork, wasn't it? The master asked him that when did he manage to expose him. Yang Zai told him that he could benefit, and I asked him what he should tell him, what he could do for him. The master said it was simple enough, he had to make them fight. The more people die, the happier he will be. Yang Zai thought that with his cursed stone, he wanted to collect the energy that comes from them during the battle in order to escape later, but it suits him. The bald man turned to the young master and asked him to wait until Mr. Snake comes. A murderer with a two-armed dagger will definitely die, because Mr. Snake is an expert of almost 4 steps. This man, who attacked them, began to move away and, grinning, said that this time they were just lucky. But if he stayed alive, he would not leave them so easily, after which he wanted to rush away. But he was stopped by this pink ray of light. The man with glasses asked if he was really dead, and he asked the master what they could do to approach him and check it out. Yang Zai thought it was very strange. Why did the stone kill him? It would be more logical to subdue him. And he said that something doesn't add up here, so they'll see what happens next. Then this man got up and laughed again and asked, "Is this the ability of infinite recovery?" The master and Yang Zai exchanged glances. The master winked at him. The man started shouting that now he is immortal, and nothing is scary to him. He turned to the young gentleman and said that today he would say goodbye to his life. Durin Keith took the knife out of his subordinate's palm. After that, he took and threw this knife and hit the bird directly. And then this knife got into the hand of that man. And then the light of this bird hit this man. Everyone else stood and watched it. The bald man asked if he would survive at all. Durin Keith said he wasn't sure about that, but they're going to find out now. The man shouted that, unfortunately, he was invulnerable here. Here the white serpent, the master of the sword, announced himself, and he asked if his nephew Durant was really there. What kind of jerk dared to offend his nephew? Durin Keith greeted his uncle and said that this killer did not have the courage to go to his father, and he decided to finish him off. The white snake told his nephew not to worry, because his uncle is already here, now no one will harm him. This killer poked his finger at everyone and told them to attack together, and he will kill them all at once. He will show them who the real expert is. The white serpent turned to his army and said that they would not have to attack him. He will cut this scumbag apart with his white snake sword. The white serpent said they would see how long they would last after his sword attacks. After that, a white snake appeared from his ball, which let out a mist. The killer thought that what kind of infection is this fog confusing him. He took his knife and stuck it in his leg. But he was shocked and said that as such, even the pain does not help him to recover. It was the snake that wrapped around him and started strangling him. The white serpent asked his nephew if that purple crystal was the legendary stone of wisdom. Durin Keith said he didn't know for sure, but anyway, he belongs to Uncle White Snake. White Snakes laughed and told his nephew not to worry. When he gets it, he will definitely share it with him. Durin Keith thanked his uncle. The master was hiding around the corner and thought that that assassin with daggers was still useless even after receiving infinite regeneration. Was he tired of suffering pain? He gave him a chance, but it's no use, so he'll have to act on his own. He separated this killer with another force. Now he has an eye. Laser beams were coming out. He told the white snake to die at last, after which he cut it with his 2 knives, thereby freeing himself. He laughed out loud and asked, "Is that really all?" White Snake said he was just lucky. He will show him what a real decisive blow is. And he applied his skill called Snake Waterfall. After that, a lot of his white snakes appeared, which spread across the cave. The dog man, frightened, said that no, the final attack of the white snake has an uncontrolled range of action. He told the hero to watch where he was hitting. His snakes are already everywhere. Outside of this place was a huge whale. He used his attack called Destructive Light Ray. He burned all the snakes and even half of them. Men with glasses. Now he was dead. The bald man, angry at this, reincarnated and said that he would kill this jerk. Durin Keith tried to stop him, who asked him what did he really want to die. He promises him that he will deal with the blue hit and avenge him. Then someone shouted for them to look, because the corpses, they disappear. Some alchemical patterns appeared on the ground. The people who died here began to decompose into pink particles, and someone began to rise at all. One of the guys was very happy, and he said that this thing, it seems she can improve her combat ability. The other guy said he had just reached step 2. Yang Zai thought that the death of one makes everyone else stronger. So that's what the cultivation of the wisdom stone is. The white snake approached his nephew and told him to stay close to him, because the situation got a little out of control. Each deceased fighter releases energy that strengthens those who are still alive. This means that the skills of the experts of the first and second stages have greatly increased. At the third stage, the gain is less effective, which means that if they let these people become stronger, then the explosion between them will shrink and shrink, and then it will be unclear who will have the advantage. Meanwhile, the master was watching them. He overheard their conversation and giggled, said that now they have no reason to stand aside and not interfere, right? They have to fight and kill each other, the more deaths, the better. The white snake killed one of the people present. Seeing this, many people were so scared that they decided to run away from here. The white snake turned to his nephew and told him to follow his uncle and he would guarantee that he would be completely safe. Keith told his uncle that he probably had his reasons for doing so, but he wants to remind him that he never killed him. He just hopes his uncle can take down this jerk. The white snake said that he did not expect such devotion from him. It seems that Kate's family has an heir. What did you call out to them? That killer who killed another person. He asked them what? Do they really have sawdust instead of brains? They shouldn't immediately kill all the people of the second stage. This will allow them to close the gap. Otherwise, if he attacked them, they wouldn't have a chance for mercy. After that, he began to collect the particles of dead people. People who were still alive fled from here out of fear. One man shouted that they should run as soon as possible, because they wanted to kill them and eat them. But then a wall appeared in front of them, through which they could not pass. People began to beat her with their fists, asking to be rescued. They asked to be released from here. Then the queen of the plucked lotus appeared. She grinned and asked them where they were going to run to. Mr. Yam-Mad followed her. The queen of the plucked lotus of lies was going to kill them, but a white snake stood up to protect these people. He told them that he knew they would commit such a baseness as mass murder, and turning to the people, he told them that they should not be afraid, because he is here, and he will not allow them to exterminate innocent residents. Yam-Mad said that if he had been in their place, he would have acted much more ruthlessly. Meanwhile, the master was still watching them. He grinned and called them a bunch of idiots. He said that they all continue to kill each other, but it only makes him feel better. The dead people began to decompose again, and Yam-Mud began to absorb these pink particles. He turned to the white snake and said that their plan was this: soon they would reach the third stage, and then they would fight. But White Change began to wait and using his power, told them to explode. The fog rose. The queen of the plucked lotus was badly injured, and Yam-Mad lost his left arm. He said that was there really something wrong with his head? What the hell is he doing? White Snake said that in general he has his own plans. He himself was badly injured now and lost his right arm. Then the killer suddenly attacked him. The White Snake was able to react in time and plunged his sword into him. But the killers also managed to injure him. The killer laughed and asked him if he had really forgotten. Or what? After all, he has infinite regeneration. White Snakes asked that yes, really. Then the killer turned his attention to his wounds and realized that they were not healing. He said it just couldn't be. His wounds are not healing. The white serpent told him that, apparently, the stone of wisdom preferred him. Then his right arm was restored. The killer was terrified and said no, because the stone of wisdom chose him. Then the white snake pushed him away. And turning to everyone else, he said that even though their powers are equal, but now he is immortal, so they are not his rivals. Yam-Mad commanded that the young master of the Kate family should be captured. Swordsman White Snake is on good terms with their head, so you need to take Durant Keith hostage. Then Durant Keith appeared and grinned, said that down with this circus. They have to watch carefully. After that, he turned into a fire dragon. Yam-Mad was sweating with fear and said that he also had the ability of 3 steps. Durant grabbed one of the people with his mouth and crushed him. After that, he began to push the rest of the people, crushing them with his paws or waving his tail. He told everyone that they should become at least the 3rd step, but he is from a noble family, and can some pathetic 2 steps really grab him? Pink particles appeared again. Durant turned to his uncle White Snake and told him that if they worked, they reported, they would easily overcome these 5 freaks. Uncle and the White Snake began to doubt and thought that he had managed to kill 3 people of the 3rd stage at one time. He has enough power without it. Maybe he doesn't know that the 3rd stage, having lost its combat capability, gives him the greatest advantage. Does this guy really want to kill more people in order to increase his power? That master was watching them. The White Snake, laughing, told his nephew that it was okay. They will unite and crush them. The master thought that, and Yang Zai is useful, one of his attacks, and there are no 3 users of the 3rd stage. Here Yam-Mad used a surprise attack. He tied up the Queen of the Plucked Lotus. The Queen of the Plucked Lotus couldn't move anymore and told him that he had secretly attacked her. What does he need? He began to pull her tighter, thereby strangling her to death. After that, he tied up the rest of his team members. The White Serpent told Mr. Yam-Mad that he had run away with her with him. Then turning to his nephew, he suggested that he first take Yamada under his control together. Durant Keith agreed with his uncle. Yang Zai thought that Yamad is still a cunning jerk. If he continues to strengthen, it's not even clear who will be able to win in the end. At the moment, the new continent has lost 90% of its troops, but at the same time it has gained 3 users of the 3rd stage. Yamad told the White Snake that only they and this monster were left, and asked them that they are 3 by 3. Why don't they join forces against those 3 beasts? Yang Zai thought that this gentleman was very treacherous and shameless. He does not think that he will rely on luck alone in the matter of his survival. White Snakes told his nephew not to listen to him, but rather to attack. Meanwhile, Yamad rushed to attack the huge whale and told them that they were slow-witted. He didn't have time for this. The whale also attacked him. The White Serpent said that this is the 4th step. An opponent of the 4th stage appeared. Yamad was shocked. Then the Master of the Light Eclipse appeared. Yamad said that this is a stage 4 user from the Alfonso family. This is the Master of the Light Eclipse. He and the White Snake greeted him. The Master of the Light Eclipse said that the daemon did not lie to him. He really found the Stone of Wisdom here. After that, the man laughed and said that he would finally be able to revive her, his beloved daughter. The daemon may not be satisfied with that plan, but he will do everything to resurrect his dear daughter, even if the whole world loses hope because of it. The master asked that why, like a daemon, does he make people hate him with his smell? Yes, his body has absolutely identical energy that can remove the seals of a daemon. The Master of the Light Eclipse laughed and said that even God is his companion. If he uses his full potential, then perhaps he will be able to free himself. Then he went through the fence. Yang Zai thought, so that's what the power of the 4th stage is. He easily passed through the barrier that no one could cross. After that, he told all the survivors that they should listen to him. He would give them all triple healing, and they should attack the Master of the Light Eclipse of the 4th stage. Otherwise, he will take all the accumulated power for himself. Yang Zai thought that he still had an ace up his sleeve, but he wanted to feel the full power of the 4th step, and she told her uncle the White Snake that he would fight on his side. Yamad said that it would also not hurt for him to experience the power of the 4th stage. The Master of the Light Eclipse said that it was interesting. Then he would play with them, but first he would do a little warm-up. They are fully aware of their level, but they still go against it, right? Apparently, they don't know the difference between the 3rd and 4th step at all. He only needs one finger to repel all their resistance. He was attacked by a White Snake. The Light Eclipse Master snapped his fingers, and a small bubble was directed at this White Snake, which the snake swallowed. After that, the Master of the Light Eclipse said that he would destroy it, and the White Serpent began to disintegrate into particles. Uncle White Snake said no, it couldn't be. His arm was missing again, but with the help of pink particles, she recovered again. After that, the Master of the Light Eclipse attacked Yamada. He divided his powers of this man in half. Yamad shouted and called the Master of the Light Eclipse. He said that it was not necessary to fight against a Master of the 4th stage in a team with these dumbasses. Meanwhile, this light ball was chasing Yang Zai. Yang Zai thought, is his balloon really so scary after that? This ball of light touched up to his tail, and his tail began to collapse. The Master, observing all this, said that even after his complete cleansing, he could easily wipe them off the face of the earth. It seems that only the truth of the 4th stage fighter can defeat the Master of the Light Eclipse, stop the complete extermination, and weaken the seal. Uncle White Snake had snake scales on his face. He shouted out that he didn't believe he was stronger than him. He confidently tried to block his attack. The Master of the Light Eclipse said it was entertaining, but he will never succeed. The Master asked that he should reach a new stage very soon. Didn't he? Uncle White Snake didn't move in the air. He exhaled and said that again. What a strange but pleasant feeling. He became even stronger, and he called many of his White Snakes. The Master also supported him, said that he should use more strength and break through this seal. The Light Eclipse Master cursed and said that he had almost raised his level. Durant Keith transformed back and thought that Swordsman White Snake had reached a new stage. This unstable wave makes him feel vulnerable in the skill of stealing abilities. Then can it split up, or melt, or will it turn into energy? The Master of the Light Eclipse said that once he received the Wisdom Stone, he would be able to resurrect his daughter. They should forgive him. If they want to throw accusations like that, then they should blame their luck. The Master said that you need to give a little more. The seal has already weakened, it remains just a little bit. Then he was surprised and asked if the Master of the Cellular Eclipse was using a hidden attack. Giggling, he said he wouldn't let him do it. After that, the Master of the Light Eclipse pointed his blade at the White Snake. but the master made it so that the pink barrier began to rise. He laughed and said that thanks to his barrier, these arrows became weaker. The last layer was enough to stop them. The master of the light eclipse said that a stone is a stone. He's too naive. After that, his arrows broke the pink barrier. Several of his arrows pierced the body of the white snake. The white snake said that it hurt. It's very painful. He's almost there. How does it hurt? He raised his hand up and said he could see him. He sees. Then there was an explosion. Now the white snake has become a user of level 4 abilities. The master of the light eclipse said that, apparently, his attacks were a little late, allowing him to successfully reach a new stage. The white snake said that yes, without his pressure and ridicule, he would never have been able to do this. And he asked that how should he pay now? Maybe cause 2 times more than he experienced himself. But first he has to do something else. Then he turned his attention to Yamada and thought that this bastard wanted to attack him. But his snake swallowed him up. The white serpent told his nephew to look carefully, because after he overcame the master of the light eclipse, he would share the wisdom stone with him. The master of the light eclipse told him to take his time. They both feel it. 2 more will be coming here soon. Very soon. The white snake began to look around and thought that he felt the approach of 2 strong energy fields. 2 men showed up here. One was called Dark Blue Gentleman, and 2 it was number 3 called the Wind God, whose name was Ouyang Guanghai. Ouyang Guanghai said that there is a stone of wisdom there. With his help, he will be able to become a noble. But he was interrupted by the master of the garden eclipse and said that he was afraid that these 2 had also come for the stone. But since Alfonso's family had a lot of money, how about a deal? They give him the wisdom stone, and he will give them to them. The dark blue gentleman looked at him and asked what must be. He's just joking, isn't he? Alfonso's family are rich aristocrats on the Ocid Plain, but they also want to take the treasures of the planet. The master of the light eclipse said that they did not need the opinion of a dirty, dark blue bug regarding their affairs. Ouyang Guanghai got into their argument, who asked what were they talking about here. The wisdom stone should belong to them. The master, looking at them and watching their argument, thought that these 4 were all talking and talking. It would be better if they just fought. After that, he told Mr. Ouyang Guanghai to just think about how much damage that guy from the Ocid Plain had done. He should deal with him as soon as possible. Ouyang Guanghai thought that then he would use his pure wind to eliminate this threat, after which he rushed to attack the white snake. But the upper part of the white snake crumbled into tiny pieces. Meanwhile, grinning at the master of the light eclipse, he applied his skill called the Shield of Righteous Light. Meanwhile, the white serpent had already recovered and said that these 2 forces had absorbed each other. He called the master of the light eclipse his brother and asked that why don't they forget past grievances. He can do him a favor. But then a dark blue gentleman appeared behind him, who pierced him with his weapon. Uncle White Snake dropped dead. Duran Keith was confused and exclaimed that his uncle told him to run away from here. Yang Zai thought that okay, he had been trying his uncle for half a day now. He would kill the dark blue gentleman in the future in order to avenge him. The blue vibration started, and the stone of wisdom laughed out loud. The stone of wisdom began to glow brightly and laugh loudly. Yangshi was surprised and thought it was a demonic letter. The stone of wisdom jumped out of the box, laughing, said that he was finally free. All 3 men rushed after this stone of wisdom. The master of the light eclipse said that it belongs to him. Dark blue. The gentleman said that whoever takes the stone will get it. Ouyang Guanghai said that he belongs to the planet Azura. They shouldn't force him. Then someone called out to them and giggled and said that, in fact, the stone of wisdom belongs to the organization of judges. It was a pig from the organization, and he ordered the stone of wisdom to quickly go to him. The stone of wisdom began to approach him slowly and told the daemon that he had tricked him again. After that, the pig from the judge's organization tied up the stone and took it for himself. He was surrounded. The master of the light eclipse asked him who he was. He should show wisdom and calmly give him this stone. The dark blue gentleman asked that he was one of the zodiac signs of the judge's organization, wasn't he? Ouyang Guanghai said that he is with the judge's organization in a business relationship. If he promises to share this stone with him, then he will help him escape. And I asked him if he agreed. Pig apologized to him, calling him a wind god, but said he was afraid he would have to back out of the deal. This stone of wisdom is very necessary for his organization. Ouyang Guanghai asked that what do they want to use it for. The pig asked him what he remembered about what happened to the dragon. Right. They need the stone of wisdom in order to revive it. Mr. Ouyang Guanghai asked if this cursed stone of wisdom could resurrect people. The dark blue gentleman said that it could be used in many places, and initially this magical artifact of the plane could bring a person back to life. Their conversation was interrupted by the master of the light eclipse and said that enough was enough. It is better that they give this stone of wisdom to him, otherwise he will destroy their entire organization. The dark blue gentleman told him that they were a dark blue race, and they will help Alfonso's family, since the organization of judges is their sworn enemies. Then he does not mind killing one of the zodiac signs at all. Liu Yongguang, he told him that the artifact belongs to all of humanity, and I asked him, how can he behave like this? Do they really want to steal it? The pig told this gentleman that he appreciated his offer very much, but 2 miserable 4 steps won't do anything to him. Mr. Liu Yongguang was confused and asked, what are 2 measly 4 steps? If he is so confident in himself, then he will just look. The 2 of them can do whatever they want. The Master of the Light Eclipse and the dark blue gentleman silently exchanged glances. The pig broke their silence and said that if they were not going to attack him, then he would probably go. But that Light Eclipse master attacked him. But the pig turned out to be unharmed, and he told the Master of the Light Eclipse that he had demonstrated quite good strength. It's a pity that she was harmless to him. After that, he used his skill called teleportation. At parting, he said that the organization of judges was waiting for them to visit. Then he disappeared. Mr. Liu Yongguang asked that this guy, didn't he die? The dark blue gentleman asked if they were really that strong. But he's just a sign of the zodiac of a pig. The real Yongzai was now behind them in Durant Keith's body. He could barely restrain himself and thought that if only he wouldn't laugh now. The pig has moved to the commander's mission number 5. Falling to the floor, he said that the wisdom stone remained in a virtual cube. Yongzai thought that after so many trials, after many deaths of the ability holders, he finally received the wisdom stone. But now he will be able to use it to the fullest. After the pig left, Mr. Liu Yongguang said that since the stone of wisdom was now in the hands of the judges' organization, he would probably go. Then he flew away. The Master of the Light Eclipse stood in a stupor and thought that this stone of wisdom was his only hope for the resurrection of his daughter, and he won't give up so easily. The dark blue gentleman told him that if he wanted to go to the territory of the 4 seas and find an organization of judges, then he could help him with this. The Master of the Light Eclipse told him that he hates dark blue insects even more than this organization of judges. After that, he began to gradually disappear. The dark blue gentleman shook his head and said how rash. He whirled around and saw Durant Keith. Yongzai tensed up and thought, what if suddenly this scumbag can predict the future? But the dark blue gentleman told him to remove the corpse of his relative. They should bury him with dignity as a user of the 4th step. Of the countless people, only a few can comprehend the true deep meaning, and the accidental receipt of the 4th step is just the tip of the iceberg, nothing more. After which he also left.